Hello and welcome to Access Chat. I'm really delighted that we're welcoming back Katrin to Access Chat, and Deborah gets a chance to talk to her this time because last time Deborah wasn't around. So Katrin is a representative in the European Parliament for the Greens and is absolutely fundamental to the disability inclusion movement, representing disability and democracy within Europe as a person with a disability. So it's great to have you back. Obviously, you're doing more than just representing disability policy. You're working on policies across the piece, but we don't have enough disability representation in politics in general. So It's really important that the role that you're playing as a member of our community representing in politics. So welcome back. It's great to have you back. Would you please tell us a little bit more about what you do, because I'm sure I've mangled it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invitation and having me. I'm a member of the European Parliament for the Greens since 2019. And before, I was a member in the local council of Hanover. And I'm in politics since 2011 and 2010. And when I started, my focus was more or less on social justice, poverty, not really on disability. I wasn't really aware of, and it was not a topic. Inclusion, diversity was not really relevant. Self-representance was not really a topic. So that came later, and that opened windows of opportunity to me to say, okay, we need diverse list of candidates. That was the will of my party, and it stands and falls with sort political will. And so I was connected, people knew me, and a visible disability can have an advantage because Katrin, Katrin. And I had no problems with, as long as I'm not seen only she, as long there's a mix, and there was a mix. And I must say, then you have the contacts, the trust and the support of powerful people, and a feeling, how can I represent a party and not am I pushing for me, myself and I. And of course, I'm not only there for disability rights, for many other things, but people or the media don't see it. So when I was in Syria, the media didn't report about it. I am in the IMCO committee in the European Parliament. That's the most powerful committee on internal market. It is consumer protection. It is AI. It is the global democratic questions we are working, and I see myself being a member of the group and not Katrin as a single person flying around. And to have that balance, I think that is important. And I'm in the Social Affairs Committee, Internal Market Committee, and in the Committee for Equality, so feminist rights and human rights.
Which is really, really important. And I'm just so glad that you came back on, because we do not see leadership, visible leadership in our field very often. And so I'm just really so honored that you're coming back on. And I know that we talked a little bit before we came on air about even more vulnerable parts of our community, women and children. And we were talking a little bit about the importance of the intersectionalities, the intersections. And I remember somebody said to me, it was right when the United States had decided to reelect the current president again. I voted another way, but that, that's okay. We're Americans here. So, but at the same time, it just caused so much havoc all over the world. And I remember one person coming out of the UK had said to me, well, Deborah, I see you're creating Billion Strong and this Disability Mirror Index. That's great. But I hope you've done with the nonsense about that intersectionality.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked that this particular person said that to me, first of all. But also, what are you talking about? This is us. This is us when you're talking about intersectionality. So I want to applaud you for really doing nothing about us without us. First of all, that's what you represent. But I was wondering if you could talk about why the intersectionality continues to be so important.
First of all, you are not only a white man. I create a picture, a white man in a wheelchair. You are a father, you are a son, you are a taxpayer, you are more than a person with. I think the fear of disabled people when we talk about words like inclusion and integration is finally we have something, we disabled people, they listen to us, and now there is another group coming or more visible or taking something from me. The fear of I will be the loser in the chain when it comes to discrimination. And that is, if you watch numbers, sometimes it's true. When it comes to, there is a hierarchy on different groups, and a society is less scared of disabled people because the ableistic view is all the poor people. And a disabled woman is not dangerous, really seen dangerous for non-disabled women. They don't even think about it. So disabled people are not really scary. It's more like or poor. We have the same in the European Parliament on intersectionality. It is, I try to distance, and the far right play very good with. And when you see it in different countries where the far rights are already powerful, they play very nice, they play very friendly. They don't attack us. They're super nice. My colleague, Iraqi background, she's afraid in the European Parliament. She said us very, very open in public. I'm not really afraid that people attack me. They wouldn't even think about to attack me. And it's the far right play with, without the refugees, without the migrants, we would have more money and your situation would be better. And people believe it. And so we have disabled people, they vote for the far right because it's finally on us. The German disability group, let's say, we are still very aware because of the Second World War, because of the murder against people with a disease or disability. You see countries, they didn't make or haven't made this kind of experience, not that don't have a real problem with. But Austria and Germany, yes. Italy, from the Disability Council. So what's the differences? Maybe that is a fear of, I'm not disabled, oh my God, don't put me in that box. From the other side. And sometimes cultural issues.
Right.
It's a family issue, don't show it. Different cultures, different situations. People from different cultures treating me differently. You poor girl. I see you are so powerful and I have injured my hand and you have to deal with such a disability. You are such a brave and inspiration porn. And here the culture and the background and age. So I put it in the box and I say, yeah, thank you. And I go away. So that the differences, how you see disability and why you're not be in the team migration or in the team queer or in the team disability.
Right. Yeah. And all these things are human. It's just, disability is such a normal part of being human. So is sorry. So is being queer. So is any other word that we can bring up here. And so, but Antonio, I don't know if you had a question. Do you want to come in?
So I think
apologies.
we're juggling behind the scenes here. So I think there's a couple of things that I wanted to pick up on, and we've found a back channel. I'm having some technology issues for those that are wondering today. So Katrin, you brought up some really valid points, and I'm sort of, as someone on the periphery of Europe, I'm always interested in watching. I would rather the Brits weren't so on the periphery, a bit like Deborah. I voted in a different way to the way that my compatriots did, but still. So you mentioned that you're in the committees around consumer protection, and the European Accessibility Act is actually a piece of consumer protection legislation, right? And it's just over a year since it came into force, and we are seeing the enforcement of that happening in places. What do you think the impact is? There's certainly been a recent ruling in France with Carrefour, for example. So it's starting to show that the legislation has teeth. But what do you think? Do you feel that there has been a lot of impact in the years since it really came into force, or do you think it's going to take a bit more time yet?
Yeah, that's why I love my European level, because we create the big umbrella when it comes to consumer protection or accessibility. And in the end, the member states, that is for the non-EU people here, the parliament controls the parliament. It's a group, is a house elected by the citizens in the European Union, and we can have a political push, impact, voice to push the member states into Commission. How far are we? It's good that we have a European law. Is it strong enough? What is a weak point? The member states are always aware when we negotiate. Please wait with the implementation. We say yes to the count, yes to the content, what you want, but the implementation, please, in 10 years. Yeah, that is to paint a sharp picture. And then you say, okay, let's vote for the content in the 10 years. Oh my God. Yes. The member states must implement it. They must monitor it. What happens if a country just ignore it? So just waiting, keep the people waiting. And so that is a challenge. We do have tools to start an infringement procedure if you don't respect or do what you have to do as a member state. But it's very slow. So you need a long breath, as we say, to. And that is a bit the problem. And the general problem is German economy, that persons with disabilities are not seen as customers, clients, seen as a cost factor. We had it during the negotiation for the disability card. We have it when it comes to accessible products, when we have it websites, web pages, company, and we have numbers from the OECD. What does it cost a society, a government, if we are not willing to invest into accessibility? We lose customers, taxpayers, clients, voters, and what do you lose if you're not investing? And here, ableism is very visible by questions. First question is always, who is paying for it? Who is responsible for it? Please, not me. And the picture of, if we have that law and we have to implement it, millions of persons, not only the EAA, the disability card as well, millions of disabled people will be organized on the same date, the same time to flood the system. That is the picture in their head. Ableism. Yeah. And not see we could gain more clients, members in our society. And here that is what we fight for. But yes, we give the push, and the problem is the implementation. All member states have to do it. But then the devil is in the detail. Different countries, different laws, different movements, different governments, they slow down it a bit, or it's half will. It's like, okay, we do something, nobody will realize it. And then we see each other in a court, in the European court in Luxembourg, I think. In the end, you need to go to the court.
So, Katrin, early in the month in Cork, I had helicopters all over my house as the European Commission was here for the opening of the Irish presidency. I met the European Commissioner for Justice, Rule and Law and Consumer Protection, Michael McGrath, a few times. Once
very good.
I asked him a question about the European Accessibility Act in an event that took place here in Cork. He was a bit surprised, why would someone ask about accessibility? No, he was a bit surprised by my question. So what I would, in this phase that Ireland is leading Europe for 6 months, what could they do to bring more attention to this? Because I remember, something close to my heart, during the Portuguese presidency, nothing much was done. No, I'm Portuguese. Now I'm in Ireland. Now, what could Ireland do in order to bring this? And also, it's important that the commissions are not afraid of talking about the topic, but sometimes they seem to avoid it, something that is in their scope of action.
Yeah. Right. Very good question. We had the debate yesterday with the Irish presidency in the LIBE committee. The LIBE committee is the Committee for Human Rights, Horizontal Anti-Discrimination Directive, and so on. And we asked the Irish people, and they are willing to do, but we do have more. The narrative is defense and the narrative is competitiveness. And so that is more the focus they have, and that is how member states and the Commission look like. And if Madame von der Leyen is not willing to present something, we are still waiting for laws, and you have to present a law and we can react on. Very easy speaking. And that we do have countries, they want to push, and they are our allies and we need them, but 6 months is not much. And in the end, Germany is the biggest member state, so there is nothing to see, of course, for the other member states. It's no excuse, it's an explanation. But we see a shift everywhere that is not really relevant. And it's not a question of money, it's a question of will. And here I see the Irish willing as partners and open. And they reached out 1 year ago to me and say, Katrin, when we are in the lead, let's prepare something before. So there is a will from the Irish, but they are not the king of Europe, let's say. To be fair, there is a will, but of course, power is limited.
Right. Katrin, I want to shift it just a little bit on another topic that I know you're talking a lot about, and we continue to be grateful for that. Also, just for any Americans watching, as a reminder, 27 countries in the EU and 10 countries right now in queue trying to join the EU. So it's very exciting to watch it happen. I noticed none of them were states from the United States. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway, I shouldn't kid like that. But I want to ask you about AI. Is a topic we talk a lot about on Access Chat. But what do you think, Katrin? Do you think AI is going to be just a tool that can really help us with these gaps and figuring out all these moving parts? Or is it going to be, once again, just another way to show inequality and not include people?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It can be great for disabled people. I think the internet and smartphones made life easier, especially for when you see young disabled people, what sort of chances and opportunities they have. We didn't have in the past. So that is still good. On AI, we have regulation and we want to regulate and control the big tech bros, as we call them. And here you touch a nerve of the American tech bros. They don't like it.
Yep.
And here's
But
Europe.
please do it. Please do it anyway.
We do it every time.
Sorry.
And I was exactly we and that's why it's so important that we keep the bond between the States, Canada, and Europe to be together. And here we had AI regulation, assistive technology. In New York, I was on a panel, and here I see opportunities that we are, as Parliament and EU, we are not that fast like an American company or another company. That is our weak point, but that can be our strength. To control, to protect our citizens, to protect the people. It's about protecting human rights and not they want to take something away from that many people can benefit from it. And here it is an innovation. The problem is the simplification. That is a bit the narrative that is the narrative simplification. The liberals understand it like, okay, let's open doors and free market. I have no problem with simplification or less bureaucracy. It's great as long as my rights are protected as a citizen. So it can be a chance. The danger is when comes I'm searching for a job. People know that I have a disability or I'm a woman with a disability. So to sum it up, it's a chance, but we need, of course, clear rules. And maybe to overthink some rules. Are they blocking us? But the rule of law in general must be in line with.
Agree. Antonio?
I'm currently working on what you call kind of a white book for public services in Portugal. That the idea is to provide a kind of a roadmap how to better improve the way how we manage technology in public services, to make it more human, and to consider the needs of people. This cannot be just about technology without considering those who don't want to use technology, who don't have access to technology. And a question that came in the call that we have yesterday it's related with education, is that access to AI as a price, as a cost, and not everyone has access to it. Not everyone can pay for it.
Yeah.
And the free services that are there are not really the most advanced. So you can use the free version of it. We have one European company in Europe Mistral that works in that space. So you were talking about AI and accessibility. Okay, some people can afford it, but how those millions of people who could benefit from it, who have a disability, but cannot afford to access to it?
Yeah. When companies, I had a chat with a big company from the States, and they were like, our devices are so cheap and so affordable. And we talked about many disabled people don't have the money. No. And then, of course, why they are so cheap? Because they ignore labor rights. So then you have the result of only 50 euros, or because it's produced under social standards or not in line with social standards. Do we like it? No. We hired or have a contract with sheltered workshops. It's a cheap opportunity for some companies. They can avoid or hide behind social standards. People with disabilities are busy. How great. So here our own ableism kicks in, and that is in the end a very difficult, actually not difficult amongst us, I would say a difficult question, but that is the consequence still in a neoliberal market and world. So something comes from something. And here, as long as we are not seen as clients, I had a nice chat once with a huge computer company, and they interviewed me, and I said, well, I wouldn't buy your devices, by the way. And they were like, oh, I'm a client of the other company with the funny apple on it, and I can give you reason A, B, C, D, E why I will stick to the other team, and you will not convince me. And I explained why, and they were, oh, yeah, because I have the money, so I have influence. So
Valid, really valid point.
It was a very rude from me, but to make it clear, what does it mean if your products are not accessible?
Thank you.
So the procurement power is an area where we can move the needle on disability inclusion.
Exactly.
And there's revised EU procurement guidance coming out soon, which is good. Yes, but you're right. There is this sort of push and pull, because the quest for simplification has led to the omnibus changes to lots of regulations, and some of that impacts some of the things that were also being used as levers for disability inclusion. For example, CSRD, the amount of things that you need to report back now in ESRS are lower, right? And you can be more narrative focused. So we go back from being sort of having really good sort of empirical data to telling stories, which I think is a bit of a retrograde step. At the same time, it's not like I was the biggest fan of ESRS because they were sometimes focusing on measuring the wrong things. I think that there is still a need to have a narrative to convince people that we have that economic value, and that we not only are we consumers, but when, rather than being a cost center for society, we're part of I'm using business language now, we're part of a profit center, because actually when you include people with disabilities, you're growing the economy. So everybody's desperate for growth, and yet we're trying to cut an area that can be a driver of growth. And people don't understand that because of the sort of innate ableism. And so sometimes you do need the sort of economic statistics and research behind it to be able to change the more cynical of minds.
Yeah, true.
So we were pretty much at the end of our time today, and I know that you've got things that you need to get to as well. So I need to thank our friends in the big American tech company Amazon for sponsoring us and keeping us on air. And thank you for contributing to Access Chat again, and to contributing to the conversation, and keeping this relevant. Thank you.
Thanks for your work.
And thank you for your servant leadership. You are such a blessing to our community, and you're so active and out there. And I hope our community really supports what you're doing too. We need to get behind the leaders to make sure you can be even more successful. So thank you for being on today.
Absolutely.
We cooperate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's how we do it. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a positive-sum game.
Oh, no.
So being positive, follow the podcast, subscribe, follow Katrin, engage in the conversations. Thank you, everyone.
And she's going to come back. Please come back again.
Thank you.
So greetings. Bye-bye.